go to work. We did it.
Coach?
Yeah.
We'll just get it out of the. We'll get right into it. Get it out of the way.
Okay, appreciate it.
Not the way anybody ever wants to end the season.
No,
but there's only one team that can say they don't end the season that way.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we talk about all the time with the kids, is that there's only one team that ends the season with a win.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate. You would like to be that team, and I've had a couple days to think about it, and you know, I know there's some things that we could have did to be better, but you know, looking at it, the whole thing, I'm extremely proud of them. I told them after the game that I was, and I had a hard time holding my emotions together because of what we invested in. I knew that I was going to feel this way about this group because these were all the kids that were there the first day I walked into the door. So looking at those seniors and seeing the emotions behind them, it kind of got to me a little bit, and I'm proud of them. I mean, district champs, regular season and tournament champs, regional champs, first time in school history. First time appearing in the state tournament, being one of the last 8 teams. So it's a lot of things. I mean, we lost to a very good team in South County as defending state champs. So if you want to look at moral victories, I hate them as much as you do, but in the grand scheme of things, we had a good year.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that.
Right.
It's got to, I know, again, it's got to be tough. You go through, you put all that in all year. To looking at those senior guys, but they turned this program around.
Oh yeah.
They were a big part of that.
Right.
And those guys have nothing to hang their heads about. They did way better than anybody else expected.
They don't. I mean, the emotions come because you know what you put into it, and they worked their tails off, and they had a goal in mind, and they fell short of that. So you understand them being emotional, but looking at what they've done and how they've turned the program around, we went from a team that won 6 games the year before I got here to a team that was 23-3, beat 5 different district champions this season. One that's still playing in Freedom South Riding, that's in the state semifinal on their side. So the amount of wins that they had and beat a WCAC team this year. 23 wins, saying 23-3 sounds ridiculous to say out loud, especially when you know you don't have any more games to play. So it was phenomenal just to see the support that happened throughout the school community with the staff and the students. I mean, it was packed in the gym before we even came out for warm-ups. I remember our first playoff game when I was coaching the first year, and the only people that were in the stands were parents.
Yeah.
I remember that. Clear as day. I remember coming out and we seeing it was like 10 to 15 parents for a playoff game. And to see the amount of emotion and excitement that came from everybody around, not even just in the school, but the rest of the community, how excited everybody was for what they were doing.
Yeah.
They can look at that. I know now they're not going to be able to see it, but when they get older, they can look back and be like, man, we did something pretty special.
Absolutely. Your senior class is ridiculous. We've talked about it 1,000 times. They're ridiculous. You've got some juniors that are coming back that are
right.
This experience is going to be tremendous for them coming back next year.
Very true.
When do you start to look at moving on to next year? It's easy. We always tell people, hey, you got to move on. You got to forget about the last game and move on to the next one. It's easier said than done. So when do you start to look at next year?
You know, what's funny about me and what was great, especially with the other coaches we have on our staff, is that I'm always thinking about what we have coming back and how they need to get better all the time. As far as when we'll start working to that, we'll give ourselves a few weeks. We probably won't do anything until about April. But in my mind, I've already started thinking about the roster makeup, how things are going to go, who could possibly start, what guys need to do to get better in the offseason to make the jump that a lot of these seniors made this year. And that's not saying that I'm not in the moment with them and trying to win there, because I'm all in with that. It's just the way my mind works, trying to be prepared, and that way we can develop kids the way that they need to be developed.
Right.
It's one of those things is that you have to look at where they are and where they need to be and where they want to be. And you can't do that without having a plan. And so every day we're having conversations as a staff about how we can be better now and how we can be better the next week and the week after that and the year after that. I mean, I've looked at classes in our 9th grade class and seen how they can grow and what they're supposed to do. I'm going to go watch a middle school game here probably next week and see the kids that are supposed to be coming in the year after that. So every day.
Did you get a little bit of coaching on that? We ran into somebody doing a similar thing last week.
Oh my goodness, that's a little bit different. He came and watched the AAU game way outside of where he was supposed to be.
We won't even go into it.
At least this middle school game I'm going to is down the street from us. So
good.
Those kids are definitely supposed to come here. But it's just, you know, and then like you said, you got kids that come to your camp and you find out whether or not they're going to be Patriot kids. Just we had a kid on our freshman team, a freshman on our JV team who practiced with us as a 9th grader this past year, Mike Ackerman. Mike Ackerman was a kid that was coming to our camps a few years ago. Chad Watson, a sophomore who dressed out some varsity games this year, played JV. Is another kid that I saw him play as a middle school kid at Gainesville Middle School. So just those two come to mind, but all of them at some point in time, we had ideas of what they could be in the future. So, you know, one thing we did say to those younger guys that were just, you know, not dressed out, but on the bench and along for the ride, soak this in and realize this is what you need to do every year now. This is not a flash in the pan sort of thing. We want this to be a year in and year out thing where we're competing for district, regional, and state championship level basketball. So,
well, I want You guys had an opportunity to win a regional game the other night. Was there a celebration after that game, or was it just a little more like this is business as usual, we got more to come after this?
Yeah, I mean, like what's expected of us isn't the same. If it was last year, it would have been, you know, jumping like how districts was. We were in the middle of the court celebrating, but it's like we expected this. This is what we were meant to do. So like we were like, all right, next game, let's go to practice tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, like last year we were underdogs. Everybody didn't think we were gonna win, but this year we're like expected. Everybody thinks we're gonna win.
Yeah. Now the schedule got thrown off with school. I'm sure you guys are happy to miss school, but probably not happy to miss games. How did that schedule affect you guys going into that game?
I think it really had like no effect, but like just we had to wait one more day. Made us more eager to play.
Yeah, we definitely came out more hungry after those 2 days off, in my opinion, just because of we were like, well, we haven't played in like 2 days, so let's make sure we get the job done.
Yeah. Now, the crowd wasn't a normal crowd. Might have had something to do with the schedule, everything kind of getting moved around. But were you a little surprised by the crowd?
No, because like us, they knew what we were gonna do.
All right.
I don't think they had a doubt either. I mean, if you follow our Twitter, like they're like just like come out, show support. They never have a doubt. They always talk smack to everybody, and they just know we're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does that fire you guys up a little bit with the student section talking a little stuff to everybody, or do you guys kind of tell them to back off a little bit sometimes?
I mean, with Isaac behind us, because like it's the bench and then the student section is directly behind us. So when Isaac just starts talking, we're like, we kind of joke around on the bench, like, dang, they're ruthless. Like they're just going after players. Like they called Matthias, they called him like he had no soul. So we were like, and yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say it hyped us up anymore, but it definitely like was like, all right, if they're behind us, we can do it.
Does it make you laugh and loosen you guys up a little bit during games?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's the funniest thing you've heard them say before?
I don't know. He said last game, number 11, you have a wedgie.
Yeah, that was funny. Against Osborne in the district championship, I think it was Isaac or somebody else, but when Manny was at the free throw line, he was like, where's your birth certificate? And then he was like, you look like a 40-year-old man.
You guys are juniors, both coming back next year. You know, over the next couple weeks, you got a big test to come up, but you also got to learn. You guys are going to have to step up next year and take over some of that leadership role. Are there things that you kind of look at right now that you're kind of learning as you go, trying to figure out, all right, this is what I want to do next year, this is how I want to handle myself, anything like that?
With Hagan and Devin as like leaders of our team, they're very good at leading by example, but sometimes like it's like we need more of a verbal connection. So like next year we're definitely trying to be more verbal as a team.
Okay. You find yourself in the middle of pictures. Every picture that I see that's something about Patriot, you're somehow in the middle of it. Do you position yourself on purpose like that?
Early in the season, I was like, well, I can't find myself. Where am I in the picture? So you know, I look in the corners, see the cameraman. I'm like, all right, let me scoot over a little bit. Let me get right here. All right, now I type.
All right, gotcha. So see, you just need to, wherever he goes, you need to get with him. You're gonna be in the middle of every picture. He's somehow gonna find his way there. Yeah, you got a bright future. Come back with guys you got coming back.
Yeah, Jackson obviously is a matchup nightmare for guys who shoot the basketball. Able to put it down on the floor. Bigger guy that can go down on the block as well. Zach Blue is a very good guard, just overall guard, can play both guard positions because he's able to shoot it very well, can handle it, can make good decisions with the basketball. So I'm happy to have those two being part of the core of guys coming back.
One guy we got to talk about before we get into the regional tournament. The one guy we have to talk about, we talked about a little bit before we got started. We've talked a lot on the show. A lot of people have brought up his name in different places. But Hagan is as good of a guard as there is in the state.
No question.
Period. He is a first-team All-State guard.
No, in my opinion.
There's not a guard in Northern Virginia that is better than Hagan. I know Evan Buckley, Stonebridge is really good. Man, Hagan's right there. That guy, what he was able to do the last few weeks of the season, I thought were as impressive as anything that we saw this entire basketball season.
Yeah. You know, we talked about guys that were here when I walked in the door, and I remember a conversation I had with Hagan because of the class that he was in, you know, with him and Devin, and Kai wasn't even here yet at that point, but with the rest of the guys he had in his class, with Griffin and Trey Simpson, I thought that their class was extremely talented. And I said that you guys, at minimum, should play in 2 state tournaments, and with the possibility to win one. And I remember they looked at me at the time, because remember, you know, they just won 6 games of varsity team. It was like, you know, coach, you know, we did pretty good on the freshman team because they just played freshmen. Right. I said that should be you all's goal, and it starts with you and how you develop. And he worked his tail off into his sophomore year. Unfortunately, he had an injury, broke his leg about 4 or 5 games in. A lot of people don't know that because he was able to come back from that like nothing had happened. Was a backup on our team the year before for Ike and played spot minutes. Didn't play a whole lot, but gave us good minutes when he went out there. But every year you could see his development. He got in the weight room. He got a little bit taller. Yeah. And his basketball skill and his tenacity, I think pound for pound from a competitive standpoint, there's no question he might be one of the best players in the state.
Yeah.
But as far as a point guard, no question I'll take him before I take anybody else. And that's no slight against anybody else's guy.
No.
I just know what he brings to the table from an overall skill set and from his competitive standpoint. You think he's competitive watching him in games? I want you to see him lose a game at open gym. Yeah. You can't talk to him. And he's always had that in him. And because he's always probably been doubted, which he still is doubted to this day, it's always interesting having the conversation with college coaches, especially the ones that aren't immediately sold on his talent, is that he's not very big. I said, I don't care. I know what he's going to bring to the table. Right. He's the type of kid you're going to have him around, and his work ethic is already going to overshadow the fact of you looking at his size. He's a stronger kid than what he looks like.
Yeah.
He rebounds the crap out of the ball for his position. And it's just, I hope, and there's been a few now, I don't want to act like it's no one, but I hope that he gets more of the attention he deserves from the type of player that he is. Yeah. Even though some of his postseason accolades have been a little bit interesting because, you know, it's other people that have overshadowed him, and even on our own team with how Devin has played. But without Hagan, we aren't who we are. And he's a special player, and he deserves everything that he gets in the process.
He deserves more than he's getting right now.
I agree.
No, obviously, again, you and I have talked about it. Daniel Deaver is
right.
He's the best player in.
I could go on and on about him.
Yeah.
Coach Hale obviously does a great job over at Marshall. Daniel Deaver, in my opinion, in Division VI, is the best player in Division VI.
Yeah.
He's unguardable, and there's nothing you can do. You just try to make it difficult for him, and even when you do, he gets his own rebound. And when you double him, he finds the open guy with a pin-perfect pass. It just, I have never seen a big kid in high school, public high school, like him.
No.
It's like Kevin McHale with handles.
Yeah. But that's the only reason that I don't have Hagan right there in that spot is because of that guy.
Right.
And the guy that comes along once in a, I mean,
right.
They don't come along very often, that guy.
Like I said, Hagan's battling the fact that on his own team he has a kid who's player of the year in the district.
Right.
And it was an argument that we had when we had our meeting about who was the best player on my team. I said, I like both of them. If I could, they would be co-player of the year. So, like I said, Devin had an amazing year. You know, Hagan has had something that's close to being on par with what Devin has done from a statistical standpoint. You know, the thing about Devin is he does everything.
Right.
And that, I think that's kind of the difference, is that Hagan has been great scoring the basketball. He finds guys when they're open. But then you look at the numbers, and then Devin is leading us in points, rebounds. And I think they're both about tied for assists now. But like I said, both of them are amazing.
Yeah.
Both of them deserve a lot of attention, probably more than both of them are getting. You know, and both of them, I think, could be scholarship level kids at the next level. If they're not, they should be really big contributors at the Division III level.
Yes.
So, but right now I feel like they're both being under-recruited for the amount of talent that they have.
Yeah.
And I hope that here in the next few weeks that it'll change.
Going back into the regional tournament, you guys had a game, speaking of Daniel Deaver at Marshall, you guys had a game against Marshall. Having a chance to have Marshall here in your home court in regionals. One, what was that game like? Two, just talking a few minutes about Daniel Deaver, how was your sleep leading up to that game?
I mean, you know, I don't lose a lot of sleep when it comes to like other guys, because I know our guys are ready for the challenge. If I doubted their ability to step up to the challenge, then I think I would lose sleep over it. Now, to say that I didn't think about it a lot would be a lie. And, you know, I knew what we dealt with the first time we played them. I want to say the first time we played them, he had 25 points and 19 rebounds and 6 assists.
Yeah.
And we thought we did a good job.
Right. I remember you telling me.
So, and those were the type of numbers he had been putting up in the previous playoff games before we saw them. So we talked about, you know, that we knew that Jakai was in a lot better place because he was in basketball shape now compared to being in football shape earlier in the year. We knew that our other bigs were going to come in and make things difficult for him. And we just wanted to make sure that things were hard for him to do and he didn't get the other guys off by finding them. You know, and then you look up and he has 29 points, 17 rebounds, and 4 assists for the game. And we slowed him because he could have had 40. Yeah. But we did a good job of defending. It sounds crazy to say that when I just tell you what his numbers were, but the thing is he did it on 33 shot attempts.
Right.
So he had to work really hard for that. And then down the stretch, I think that he started to feel the crunch of the game and wanting to do it by himself. So the other guys got taken out of the equation where we could come a little bit harder with our help. And, you know, You know, I talked to Coach Hale after the game. I said, your guy is the best guy in the region, probably the best guy in the state. And I won't say otherwise. So it was a tough game. They had a couple shots they made down the stretch. I mean, we were up double digits, and then we decided that we wanted to not make foul shots.
Right.
But, you know, it ended up being 61-54, so it was a good win. That game qualified us for the state tournament for the first time in school history, which was amazing, and gave us a chance to play for the regional championship in the first time in school history.
When you're looking, like you were just talking to me about, when you're looking at a guy like that on the court, and you know that you're slowing him down, but you're looking at the point total and you're like, my goodness.
I mean, you know he's got his points. Yeah. The thing about it is our pace that we set for the game for a kid that doesn't come out.
Right.
I didn't think he could sustain that at a dominant level. I knew that he would still get his numbers because he's good.
Right.
But as far as dominating the whole tempo of the game and dictating everything, I thought it was going to be hard for him because he was going to have to go up and down with our guys. We had a few bodies to throw at him, different type of players to throw at him. You have Ja'Kai coming in basically with body shots, with him being as big as he is, and then Jackson being kind of the quicker but still a lengthy defender that made things difficult for him. So Lance played a couple minutes for us in that game as well, who's a very athletic kid. Yeah. So, you know, I just thought it would be hard for him to dominate the game, which was more important for us because stopping him was not going to happen. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Hey, there was one shot that we had from that game where he trailed down and Hagan was going to the basket. And that dude just comes out of nowhere and jumps out of there. Like,
oh, yeah.
You forget, not only is he big.
He's athletic.
He's athletic.
Yeah, he's over the rim. Like I'm telling you, it's hard to say this because as good as he is, he's probably extremely underrated from everybody. Now, the people that know, like they know.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, I'm sure Tony Bentley will laugh if he sees this, but I remember I asked him, you know, what can we do? The first time we played them.
Yeah.
He said, come out of retirement and you guard him.
Right.
And I laughed. He said, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
And then the next time I said, you got anything else to give me other than coming out of retirement? He said, no, I don't. That's really the only answer I have for you because you have a plan. Yeah. And everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. People
looked at me crazy last year when I said that dude's the best guy I've seen in a long time.
And I didn't see him.
Right.
And so I didn't believe you. And I apologize to Daniel and Coach Hale and anybody else because everybody tried to tell me, but I hadn't seen it myself.
Yeah.
So when you see it in person, you become a believer very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of believers, had a chance to sit down with some of the coaching staff earlier. Why are you chuckling?
Because they're great guys, and obviously my mom being a part of that will be in our bookkeeper. So it's entertaining every day because the amount of different personalities and egos and the way that we're able to mix it and do the job that we do. I'm nothing without them. I know that I'm at the forefront and everybody sees me, but those guys are really good guys on top of being really good basketball coaches.
Well, yeah, but I realized quickly there was a mistake doing the show with you all year. I should have done it with your dad all year.
Oh, listen.
Your dad believes that it should be Rivers Court for him.
Oh, he's dead serious.
Yeah, no.
I think that the funny thing about it is when people meet my dad, it's funny how they look at me and they realize why I'm such a fool. Right. You know, it's like, now we get it. Because he is comical. Every day he's saying something that cracks me up. He's my best friend, and we've been that since I've been little. We're a military family. We moved a lot, so yeah. I didn't have a lot of built-in friends when we would get to places, and he was always ready to go out there and throw a ball with me or shoot with me, even after him getting home from work or from out in the field doing that sort of stuff. So he's a great guy. So
I'm gonna tell you right now, later today there will be a GoFundMe up somewhere for Rivers Court being on here somewhere, but with your dad's picture just to make sure. Just to make sure I want his picture on there. So we had a chance to sit down with him earlier. Take a look.
Well, I think it's fantastic because I already knew he could do it. He just had to get the kids to play his style of basketball, and when he surrounded himself with these guys, a great coaching staff, we were able to achieve what we thought we could achieve when we first came over here. But it's also fun, you know. I'm a retiree and she's retired, and we said, how are we going to fill our life? And all of a sudden, we had a new family. It's Patriot High School, and the kids and their parents. and the coaching staff, and doing things outside of our humdrum retirement, watching TV, doing nothing else. So I always thought he was very knowledgeable, he's very smart, and he has this innate ability to have people follow him and do what he likes to get done without offending them, and that's kind of hard.
For you guys, obviously you guys have been with the program and know the kids, but how special was this for you with that group?
The opportunity with this team, I believe, having been here 3 years, so the third year, some of the kids we've had for multiple years, and we've seen the growth and development, not only in their skill, but just in their knowledge of basketball. And so it's a special time when you see kids develop and grow, and we just appreciate them so much. They work so hard. They work really hard, and we expect a lot. We came here to win, and we expect to continue to do so.
Yeah, for me it was interesting. It was my first year with the program, but I've been in the community for a long time. I think we had Hagan at basketball camp, I want to say almost at Brentsville before Patriot even opened, when he was like in 3rd or 4th grade. So knowing some of these kids since they were little kids, and now as they're, they've grown up to young men, to be on this ride with them, I think was a really cool thing. Again, I remember him dribbling around in gyms as a little guy. And then getting to the point and seeing the success that they got to and all the time and the work that they put in to get there was a pretty special experience.
I'd say the same. For me, personally, Hagan Van Diver. I was coaching at Potomac at the time, freshman coach. And, of course, you already know, that kid looks like he couldn't weigh more than 5 pounds, dripping wet. And tell my players the exact same thing. I'm like, you guys just go at him. He proved me wrong in the first 5 minutes of the game. That kid has something special about him that we've seen from the moment I've laid eyes on him. So he's been on my radar even before Sherman decided to make the transition over here to Patriot. And when we got here and we actually got to see what we're going to be working with, from the moment we got in, we knew we had something special. We knew. We didn't know how long it was going to take us to get to this point. Right. We can only assume, but we knew that with the work that we put in and the way that we work and the way that we work together, we can make a big change in this basketball community here at the school.
What does it take to bring to create that basketball community here? Obviously, it ain't easy, but what is it taking? Because it's come a long way in the last few years.
I mean, honestly, sir, we all came from Potomac. Everybody knows that Potomac is a dynasty. When you talk about Prince William County basketball, it's been Potomac basketball. Not to say that other programs hadn't had success in the former years, right, but Potomac is always mentioned. And it isn't just because of the name. It's the work, the code that we live by. Kendall Hayes, who's been there for many years, I want to say coached all of us, right, and coached along some of us. Every day you come into the gym and you know that we're going to work and we are going to make a run for this state title every year. I don't care what we have on our bench. I don't care how deep our bench is. We know that that's what we're destined for every year. And we believe that. We've been bathed enough in that along the years to bring that along with us. I think that's why really Sherman picked us. Right. I mean, he didn't have to. Yes, we're friends, and we would have probably continued to be friends outside of this basketball lifestyle that we live. But he brought us along because he knew that we had that same fight within us, that same attitude, that same motivation every day when we come into this gym to what we call, or what some people would call work. This isn't work for us. Right. This is a lifestyle that we live, and we want to continue that tradition for the years to come. We just made a joke about it, saying Rivers Court. I mean,
that's right.
I don't want to say that's the ultimate goal, but that is a long-term goal. We talk about long-term goals. It's a long-term goal for us, for him, to earn for him. You know what I'm saying? That's our leader, and he takes care of us. We want to make sure we return the same.
Let me add something to that, because one of the other things, you're talking about community. Every summer we have a summer camp, and parents bring the kids here. The kids love it. They talk about it. I was at a game yesterday, one of the league games, and I was sitting next to a parent, and she said, "Boy, I'm so sorry you guys didn't win that game." I said, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
She said, "My kids go to your camp. I come there every year. We talk about it. We make sure that we're there all the time. And when the kids leave here, all the parents that I've met said, these kids are better now than they were before." And all the things that Coach just talked about is part of what we try to instill upon them here, as well as letting them having fun in the summer. So when you start there, at that age, when they're in elementary, and then they move up and they come from middle school, and they come here, and they expect to win.
Yeah.
And the parents expect for us to win, and all of a sudden the crowds are larger, and you don't have 5 people in the stands. That kind of shows what kind of community involvement we have.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, I know we talk about building a basketball community, and when I talked to Sherman about coming over, one of the things I think he's done an excellent job of is first and foremost building the trust in the kids. So I think that goes. That's something that not a lot of coaches can do easily, and I think that like Teron said, being around each other, we're all friends, but also we understand that if you build a trust in the kids, that they believe in you and you work hard, you show them is a roadmap of where we want to be, and then they bring that home to their parents, so now the parents also trust that we're taking care of our kids, not just on the court. We care about them off the court, and we make sure the education, they're doing the things they need to do in the classroom. So once you build a trust, and that's the foundation in the program, and then it extends to the family, and then they will come back each year, and then the younger kids can see what we're building, and that spreads to the community, and that's how you build a basketball community. It starts with being able to build trust with those kids, that we are here for you, and we expect a lot out of you, and we're going to work, you're going to work, and that's where it starts.
But what's the moment that you'll remember that kind of sticks out to you?
It's a tough question.
Yeah,
a lot of
several of them.
I'll give one. For me, I think we talked about it the other night, how at the beginning of the season we thought we had potential to be a good team, but we didn't think we were a very good team at that moment. We had a lot of work to do as far as identifying things we needed to fix. We had a game, it was here against Stonewall, where for 3 quarters we were not very good defensively. We were really good offensively. Fortunately, so it was still a close game. And then in the fourth quarter score, I think, was like 27-12. And at the end of that game was when I realized, really, that I was certain that we were going to win every game from there on out. Because you could see that if we can defend a team that is really very skilled offensively like that, and keep them to 12 while scoring 27, that was the moment for me. I thought all along that we were going to win a lot of games, and I thought we were going to be in some close games and in some championship games and have some opportunities. That game, at the end of that game, I was certain we were going to win everything. Just because of how well we played and how well we executed all of the little things, the little breakdown stuff we do in practice, the little drills that we get on about that are little things that, everything. That fourth quarter for me was when I was certain we were going to win.
So obviously going through a whole season, you learn things every year. You learn new things about you, about teams, about kids, whatever. But what's the biggest thing that you learned this year?
So new to the staff, I think that because I'm from here. I went to OP, I went to Coles Elementary. So I am aware of some of the Potomac history stuff that Teron talked about. I think the thing that, I don't know if it was a learned or came to a realization, I've always had this sort of respect for that side of the county because of what we're talking about, and for Potomac in particular. And I think that being in practice every day and seeing some of the things that we would do every day, I think there for a long time was a feeling that the west side of the county couldn't get after people the way that maybe the east side of the county could get after people. I think, and just being honest and being from here, that stigma existed. I have learned that is not the case. I think that one of the reasons that we were as successful as we are is because Sherman had such high expectations for our kids defensively. So that if we had a night where we didn't shoot the ball well, or we didn't make a bunch of threes or something like that, we knew that we had instilled these values to these, not just fundamental stuff, but values of my man can't do this, or I'm going to help my teammate do this. that philosophy, that defensive mentality is teachable. It is tangible. You can give it to people, and I think that that's one of the things that he does best, is put that philosophy into a team where they own that now, and that's how we're going to play.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks, man.
What's that?
In terms of learning, what I learned from there.
He looked shocked when you said that.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah.
That's because I don't play much defense.
But I know what it looks like.
I know
what it looks like.
And normally he's a pretty quiet guy. You don't have much to say.
In terms of learning, for me, it's having been around for a long time. I mean, I've been coaching assistant over in Potomac and here. It's been close to 20 years for me. So I've seen a lot. I've seen great teams. I've seen good teams, and I've seen teams that are not very good. And so, as I said earlier, I think that seeing the development of this team goes back to, if you put in the work and you believe in the process, you can achieve the goals that you set for yourself. And so every single one of our kids on this basketball team is better today than they were at the beginning of the season. Some of those kids were better at the beginning of the season than they were the previous season. So the expectation we have on every kid that plays here is you're going to be a better basketball player when you leave. And so if you work hard, the opportunities for success are endless. And so I think that I learned that although, as Dan said, we were not very good after our first two scrimmages, and we got together and we set some goals for ourselves as a team. I saw the list and I said, we got a long way to go to meet that list. I mean, and so I felt like the kids heard that, and they put forth the effort every single day. Every single day, they pushed each other. Our kids that don't play as much or didn't get the opportunity to play as much as the starters, they are part of the reason why we were successful, because they worked hard in practice and they pushed us. And so as we continue to do that, we expect to continue to compete and have an opportunity to win every single year.
I'm tired of people not talking bad about you. I get tired of people not talking bad about you.
I can't help that I'm a good guy, man.
I don't believe that. That's not. I've tried. I was bribing people before.
I hear you. Yeah, I know.
And my money just walked out the door with absolutely nothing to show for it. But no, I told them congratulations on an amazing season. And
yeah, I mean, listen, they're all great coaches and with a lot of different experiences in different ways. Also, we talked about my dad and his experience and him coaching me growing up, and then being an assistant at Potomac while I was there and being the head JV coach there. Devon being an assistant at Potomac for a long time. Dan, obviously, with his experience with Will Robinson at Woodbridge, and then being at Brentsville, and then being the head coach here previously. My mom might as well be a coach as much as she talks to us about what we're supposed to do. Funny story I'm going to tell about her, and just in regards to things never being good enough and her
Right.
always wanting you to do more. My career high playing professionally professionally, is 41. It was my last season playing, which is great because you're like, man, I got my career high, 41 points, it's awesome. And you call your mom to tell her about how you just had 41 points and your team won, and the first thing she asks you is, what'd you shoot from the foul line? Because that was like her thing. It was like, concentrate, make your free throws.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I was 3 for 4. She's like, you would have had 42 if you made your foul shot. I'm like, thanks. Can you put Dad on the phone so someone can be excited for me during this moment? But that, that's just her, and she's always been great and talking about the things we need to do, and she knows the game. So, and then Teron obviously has been great as far as he does all the things that necessarily don't get noticed but make a program run. As far as doing our website stuff and the Twitter and Instagram things, and a lot of the funny things he does on there as far as promoting our program, getting information out to our families as far as things that are going on, helping take some of that stuff off of my plate, which is big time, and I really appreciate him being our director of basketball operations is, you know, what we give him. And sitting on the bench and having me yell at him when the stats, I need them right away about how many foul shots has the other team shot, so I can yell at the ref for the game not being called the way it should. So, you know, and just everybody, Daryl Patterson wasn't here today. He was actually getting prepared. He's got a pro game playing with the Nova Wolves over at Potomac today. So he wasn't here, but he's another one that, a younger guy that is able to connect with the kids and still get out there and play and show them what he can do. So everybody has their niche. Everybody's great at what they do. And then the way that we're all, I would like to say, sacrifice our own egos to come together for the greater good, which is making sure that we develop these kids and get them prepared to be the best that they can be.
Right.
I couldn't ask for a better group of guys to be around and to help out with everything that we're doing.
That's why I could never be on the staff. There's no way that ego's getting set aside for anything. Come on.
I mean, listen, there's always moments where we have them and we're arguing, but the biggest thing is we all have the same goal in mind.
Right.
And, you know, it'd be great if we could actually pay coaches for the amount of work that we put in.
Right.
But, you know, it definitely doesn't equal up to the amount of hours that we put in, because we're here throughout the summer. We're here throughout the fall and the spring. During the season, obviously, it's a lot of hours that we're putting in, as far as 5 to 6 days a week. And these guys, some of them driving upwards of 25 to 45 minutes to get here to be a part of what we're doing, means a lot to me, and I really appreciate them.
Yeah. It was awesome to talk to them all. Now,
this dude just tried to get.
That's why I wasn't even gonna say it. I was just gonna let it ride.
Just gonna act like we're not filming the show. Just gonna walk through the camera, huh?
That's why it's gonna be Rivers Court.
And then he shrugs it off like, "Hey, this is me."
Telling you.
I appreciate you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I will come in here and paint it myself after the court gets redone. It'll be Rivers Court and a picture of him, just to make sure everybody knows.
We can't edit that one out. That one's got to stay on there.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
The regional championship game.
Yeah.
Place was packed.
Yeah.
South Lakes was in the building.
Yes.
They even had a guy beating on a drum over there.
Oh, I saw it. They had the flag and everything. Yeah. They were ready to go.
The referees had to come over and talk to them.
I saw all that. Yeah.
It was.
Well, it's awesome.
You got a good drum section too, by the way.
Yeah.
There was one guy that was getting it. I started recording him for a minute. He was getting it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the atmosphere was amazing. Yeah. You know, it's just, like I said, we've done a lot of things this year. A lot of that's not possible without the support of our Red Nation. That's what we call our fans and our students and the people that support us. So just seeing their excitement when the things are happening that are happening is great. And just like I said, them being there and warm-ups and introductions and listening to them. I remember they asked me, they said, "Coach, do you mind if we sit behind the bench?" I said, "No, you guys are great. You know, I appreciate it. You know, if I could, I'd sit you behind the other team's bench, but that's against the rules. So we can't do that." But I love every second of it. Definitely do.
You and the refs didn't actually exactly start off on the best footing during that game.
Okay.
There were some calls early on.
Yes.
A little questionable. And I saw you ask for like explanations, and the explanation must not have been exactly what you wanted to get back in the moment. But you guys really turned it around, and I thought your press and trap really put them at a disadvantage in the second half.
Right.
And Hagan was masterful at times. Absolutely masterful. Yusuf was great.
Yeah.
Jakai, though, was a monster in that game.
Yes, he was. I think that's what made us good this year, is that we talked about it after that game, is that how do you really scout us?
Yeah.
When you have the amount of people contributing that we do. Even though we have guys that are at the forefront, with Devin and Hagan being our leading scorers, Yusuf goes off and gets 16 in that game. Jakai gets 17. Griffin Flanagan makes 2 threes off the bench. Zach Blue makes 2 or 3 threes off the bench. Jackson Ford comes in and makes a couple shots and does a good job defensively. So the way we play as a team, unselfishly, and finding the open guy, but still understanding that certain guys are going to get more opportunities than others, is a testament to how they bought into the system of what we're trying to do. And hopefully every year you can get teams to understand that. And I don't really sugarcoat it. I tell kids that these guys are our best players.
Yeah.
And they're going to shoot the ball more than you. And you're going to have to understand that that's how it goes. But when you get your opportunity, you need to be confident and knock it down.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you not to shoot. I'm just telling you that you shouldn't be shooting more than these guys. So it's one of those things that you have to understand your role in the team. And everybody bought into that. There are times where it might jump up more. Like I said, Yusuf being the player that he was in that game, he was phenomenal. The shots he was making. He had 7 rebounds as well.
Yep.
And, you know, going forward into the next season, that's going to be big time for him to play the way he did in the playoffs. Like I said, Zach as well and Jackson. But, you know, Griffin being an unsung hero who we had on the show last time. It's a kid that, I mean, shoots the whatever out of the ball whenever he gets an opportunity, and it's no hesitation. And we told him that was his job. And if he hesitated to shoot the ball, he got yelled at in practice because that's what he's supposed to do. But he also defending and rebounding the basketball and playing tough. So, you know, like I said, Hagan and Devin get a lot of the press because they're really good players, and they should. But like you said, Jakai was a monster in that game. He was unguardable at times. And it's a lot to deal with him, and it's very hard for the referees to understand that he gets fouled too in the process, which probably was a little bit of the explanations that I was getting because I know that he gets hit, and it doesn't look like he gets hit when he gets hit like the little guys do. But we need to go ahead and protect him just like the other ones. So it was an up and down thing throughout the year, but I was very happy with, like I said, with that game and able to come out and win a regional championship against a very tough team, which another team that won their district with a very good player in Cam Savage and a very good coach in Coach Duggan. So
win the regional championship.
It was awesome.
It was to see your crowd want to rush in.
I know, right?
For pictures as
we
much
had
as
to tell them to relax. We thought they were going to hurt somebody.
But it was awesome.
It was great. It was great. Like I said, I really appreciate them. And Isaac Mardo, shout out to him, being one of the kids that's at the forefront of doing our stuff for the Red Nation. He has been amazing this year, just overall, not even just for sports, but just in general. And we really appreciate everything that they do. Marianne Burns, who's in charge of the leadership program and for our kids, and getting them to get stuff and promoting things out for our school is great as well.
It was incredible. It was as happy as I've seen you. Right after, and then when you got to cut down the net.
You see the fear in my eyes?
I did, but I saw confusion in Jakai's face when he was trying to cut that net down.
It wouldn't have been right without something foolish happening. Jakai was sawing at the net, like to the point where like shavings of the net were dropping onto me.
He ended up just ripping it at one point.
Because someone told him to, and because he's Hulk smash type of guy, he tried to rip the net apart to get it off. That said, hey, let's just keep trying to cut it, big fella. All right. So
he probably should have gone last because he was about to ruin it for everybody else.
He really was.
It was really close.
Yeah, he was. But it was hilarious. And watching me get up on that ladder, because I have a slight fear of heights. I'm not a big fan of them. It's high enough that you can fall and hurt yourself.
So is dunking.
But then, like, you're controlling that action.
You know what?
Like when you jump up to dunk and you grab the rim, it's different than like standing on a wobbly ladder to me. I don't know why. I will never be able to explain this.
I don't know why.
You know, like it says, there's certain things. Like I'm definitely afraid of shots, but I have tattoos. There's a lot of things about me that don't make a lot of sense. I'm sorry, guys.
Bring it back.
And yeah, that net was, listen, it was amazing to get up there and to hold that net up and see everybody and their reaction. The pictures that were taken, you had a great one of my face, and usually because the ones that are of me are pretty terrible. So I was actually happy with that one. So it was very exciting. Clearly the first one in school history. I could go on about it, and then going into that classroom and getting doused with the Gatorade bottles afterwards, and having to dry clean my suit again the week after having them do that. I will gladly have to do that whenever, if that's the reason why. I
offered up money to supply.
You did. They kept it with the water. There was more water this time.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh no, I saw them coming to get it.
So they probably filled them up.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Terrible.
This season, it's been incredible to watch you guys all year. I knew early on how good you guys were. A lot of other people in the area didn't really know. They didn't get a chance to see you guys.
Right.
but coming and watching a practice one day before we shot a couple of things, getting ready for the show, it was glaring to me, one, depth, and two, a couple of guys that you had that were just special.
Right.
To get a chance to go throughout the year and see you guys has been amazing. And
yeah.
I thank you for taking your time. I know this hasn't been the best episode to do.
I mean, listen, I appreciate you, and you know, obviously, we knew each other for a little bit before, but now I really say you're a friend of mine, and it was great. I appreciate the light you shed on our program and our school, and coming in here every week. And you know, now we got to make sure you at the cookout.
That's right.
You good? You good?
Our string of texts should probably never be seen by anybody else.
No, those things will stay private. But
yeah.
you know, I really appreciate you, man, and everything that you've done for us this year, for sure.
No, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I can't thank you guys enough. That is the most fitting into an episode.
We're about to end the episode anyway. That was what's funny about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Patriot, we will need better lights on Rivers Court, though. Make sure we got a face next to that name, too. I want to make sure they got the right one.
When he says Rivers Court, they're talking about Dad. They're not talking about
Absolutely.
me. He's already staked his claim to the floor. So, all right, bro. Appreciate you.
Go to work. We did it.
Come on.